I feel like there's a pretty evident divide right now in the fitness industry, and that's something that I really hate to see because this industry means so much to me. I've met a lot of my best friends through relationships in the gym, and it's given so much to me. It's given me a sense of purpose, a sense of confidence, and it's helped me find a community. The specific divide that I want to address is the divide that comes from natural guys versus guys that are enhanced. I think that there's almost a sense of animosity between these two parties, and there really doesn't have to be. I'm someone who's a big fan of both sides of this spectrum. I take a lot from the practices, the habits, and the commitment that those enhanced guys have, but at that same time, my educational background, having a Bachelor of Science in exercise science and nutrition degree, my proclivity towards continuing my own education through science-based resources, and if you see my training, you know that I'm more of like a science-based guy. That being said, I don't think I train like a pussy. I don't think I overstress those science things. I do train with full range of motion and good form because I think that's what works best. What I think isn't okay is people that make their platform off of call-out culture and increasing that divide. And what I want to talk about is the incident between Mike Van Wyck and Jeff Nippard. I'm not trying to insert myself in that situation and say things that have already been said because there's already been plenty of videos. I've watched most all of them. We had, of course, Nick Strength and Power covering the situation. We had Antoine Vaillant and Quint Beastwood really grilling into Mike Van Wyck. And then, of course, we had the Muscle Discourse where I think they gave a pretty even keel approach to the Mike Van Wyck and Jeff Nippard situation. To cover that very quickly, because I just do want to provide the context, I do feel like, especially lately and in the past, Mike Van Wyck's platform on Instagram has been highlighted by calling other people out and shit talking. I know if you watch the podcast, that's not all who Mike is. I think Mike, at the end of the day, is a good guy with a good heart. I've really come to like seeing him on the podcast. I think his takes are good, and I think he's a good person. But with that being said, I don't like the content that he puts out there because I think he's better than that. And I think he doesn't have to rely on the call outs. But essentially what he did was make a video calling out science-based guys because they have all the knowledge in the world, but they don't have the physique to back it up. So like that means they're wrong. That doesn't necessarily mean they're wrong though, Mike. If you want to take steroids, I say all the power to you. That commitment to the sport is something that I really admire and something that I think shows just how hard you're willing to work towards your goals. But there are also many inherent risks that some of us just don't want to take. You could be shortening your lifespan. You could be putting your body's health at risk. That's something that I don't want to do. Of course, Jeff Nippard made a response video, very politely stated, even the best of them out there have coaches. Hani Rambod is the perfect coach for this, right? The guy never really dabbled deeply into his own personal steroid use, but he coaches all of the Mr. Olympias. According to Jeff, they had an interaction in the gym where nothing was truly instigated, but we all saw the video. Mike just yeeted Jeff by the throat across the gym 2 times, pushed his cameraman. That furthers the divide, and that is what we don't need in the fitness industry. People are coming straight to Fouad, telling him, let's cancel Mike off the podcast. And I actually had a discourse with Fouad about this, and I'm really happy I did, because in Fouad's video, while I think it was poorly phrased and it rubbed me the wrong way, he said he's going to be there for his friend. He's not going to cancel his friend just because this thing happened. What Fouad said that rubbed me the wrong way was, when something bad happens to your friend, do you abandon them? And in this case, did something bad happen to Mike? Yes. Was he 100% the aggressor because he pushed someone by the throat while their hands were behind their back? Yes. That's not acceptable. Even if Jeff was talking mad shit, slandering Mike, which I don't think he was. I don't think Jeff's that person. Why did you have to go up and push a dude that's a good 6-7 inches shorter than you and that you have easily 100 pounds on? That hurt me, man. I hated to see that. Fouad's comments were great to see that he's going to be loyal to his friend. I really respect that, and that's the type of friend that I want to have. That's the type of friend that I want to be. However, in my comment where I said, Fouad, if you condone that type of behavior, you're going to lose support on the podcast. That's the way I felt. That's the way I still feel. Fouad's argument is he didn't necessarily condone that behavior, but he said, I'm just going to be loyal to my friend. The way you phrase things when you're the head of the world's biggest bodybuilding podcast and one of the most influential bodybuilding supplement brands is important. You have to think about the way you say things, and you can't act on emotion. I'll admit, in my exchanges with Fouad last night, that we both got emotional. I started talking shit. He started talking shit. Fouad was basically coming at me in the comments. The comments have since been deleted. Maybe because he feels bad about that. I definitely feel bad about that. I apologized, and I think we came to a good mutual understanding there. In the comment exchange that I had on Fouad's post, when I said, if he condones violence, he'll lose support on his podcast, I had probably 50 replies calling me a pussy, calling me a snowflake. Once again, that just furthers the divide. I had some people supporting. I had 400 people that liked the comment. So I think a lot of people did agree with my sentiment that what Mike did was not okay, and Fouad almost seemed to brush it under the rug. I'm not saying he did, but he didn't really address it or condemn that violent action. And I just pointed out that, the podcast is critical about information that's not public. For example, they're critical on Matt Jansen's coaching practices when we don't know what's going on in Matt's life. Obviously, I think Matt Jansen fucked up and basically abandoned and cheated a lot of his clients out of their good prime competitive years and probably their money. But with that being said, I used the podcast's critiques on Matt Jansen as an example, and Fouad said, I didn't pass judgment on Matt, but now I understand where you're coming from. You've never bought anything from us, and you're wearing Raw in your picks. So basically you don't support us, and you're a Matt minion. That couldn't be further from the truth. I started supporting the Hostile brand and the podcast in 2021. In 2022, when I was dead broke, I drove 8 hours from Ohio to New Jersey to go to one of their meet and greets. Later that year, a big influencer for me to go to the Olympia, spend money on the hotel, the plane, the food, the travel, everything, was seeing the Hostile booth because they had such a cool brand presence. They still do have a great thing going for them now. Fouad wants to say I never supported the brand, never, and I'm a Matt shill. That's the furthest thing from the truth. And you can see that in other social media interactions that I had yesterday. What we need to do better to decrease that divide in the community is not make assumptions based off of what we see. A lot of us would see a big juiced up guy and think, oh, he's probably just an idiot that takes steroids. On the other end of that token, dudes that are running gear might see a skinnier natural guy in the gym training with 4-range of motion and think, oh, he's a pussy. He's not training hard, that sort of thing. I responded to Fouad and got pretty emotional. I said everything that I told you, drove to New Jersey, went to the Olympia. I've spent multiple hundreds of dollars on your brands. And that ended up going into the DMs where Fouad continued to roast. And I kind of shut it down there and said, you're a good friend, you're a loyal man, your post rubbed me the wrong way. And we had a good conversation from that. He said, if I would have realized that you've done those things, then I would have apologized and we could have moved on. And I said, I'm sorry that I reacted emotionally because I actually posted some stories. His statement was, if you had an issue, why didn't you message me? Why'd you have to publicly roast me and my company? That's something that I did wrong and something that I need to do better in the future. And I learned a lot from this interaction with Fouad because he's at the peak of bodybuilding media and he still took time to have that interaction with me. He ended the conversation with, I respect all of our customers and would never badmouth anyone, regardless of whether you support us again or not. I apologize for insulting you. I told him I'll take the stories down and I wish you and your brand the best. They're doing cool stuff. But yeah, I truly respect that Fouad took the time to have that conversation with me. I know there was a lot on his plate last night. My goal from here on out is to decrease that divide that we see in the fitness industry. And I just want to work to bring these two communities together because there's so much that we can learn from each other. The natty guys can probably push harder and be a little bit more dedicated and committed. The enhanced guys can definitely take a few notes from the good training principles that the natty guys have. And for that reason, because, friendship, hard work, sacrifice, is what the Hostile brand is about. So I'm gonna be rocking my Hostile shirt because I'm not just a Matt minion to the gym today. But appreciate you guys for watching, and just wanted to get my thoughts out there. Let's work to be a little less argumentative, a little less abrasive, and yeah, let's make some good things happen for the rest of 2024 in this fitness community. See you guys.